Has your Pinterest traffic taken a hit lately? Well, don't panic. This video is going to walk you through what to look for so you can figure out exactly what is going on and what to do about it. We're skipping the fluff and we're diving straight into the single most important tactic that I think is important from my deep dive analytics video, which I will also link in the description, and you can watch that in full after this video. Before we dive into the back end of my Pinterest account, I just wanted to set the stage just a little bit. Pinterest traffic can dip for lots of reasons. It can be seasonal, it can be related to audience fatigue, it could be related to your content algorithm changes, or simply your audience just isn't looking for what you're pinning about right now. The biggest mistake that I see people making is assuming that their content is broken or Pinterest is broken, when in reality there's a lot of nuance between what is actually going on and your content and your business and your audience. So let's dive into that. To get started, you want to navigate to your Pinterest analytics and you want to set your date range to whatever date range just before the drop and then beyond the drop. So let's say the drop is happening in the last 90 days. I'm going to set the date range to be the last 90 days. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate to two main sections within this report. First of all, if your traffic drops look something like this, so let's say it was really high in May and then it really drops off and it's pretty low, and then maybe you start to recover and you're seeing that recovery happening, or maybe you haven't started seeing the recovery happen, you're still low. If this is what you're seeing, then don't fret, because this could be related to audience behavior and less of like what you're doing wrong. But we won't know until we dig into the data. So we're going to navigate down to the top pin section, and we are going to start looking at our top pins and seeing what keywords we used in those titles to rank. So let's say it's Pinterest marketing for teachers, it's Pinterest strategy guide, how to start a Pinterest account. Now, for me, none of these things are going to be in the trends, but I want you to take note of your top pins, and I want you to write down what your keywords were for those pins. And then I want you to go to your top boards and I want you to do the same thing. So what are your boards and what are those topics, and how can we correlate these to keywords? Now, your board title should be a keyword, so that should be pretty easy to do. Write that down. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pop over to our audience insights. So you can click right here under additional insights and open that up. And under your total audience, I want you to scroll down and take note of the age, the gender of your audience, because this is going to be important. We're going to relate this to the trends tab in a second. Then what I want you to do is open Pinterest trends, and I want you to come down into the trends report to this table, this variation of the trends tool, and I want you to start plugging in your keywords that were in that top pins and the top boards report. Once you've done that and you have some topics coming up here, now of course my Pinterest marketing topics are not going to be in here, but let's say, for example, I blog about bread, and this is one of the topics that has been in my top pins report for the last 90 days. So I can see here at a glance, like these things in general look to be going down right now. They're not as popular. So let's open this up, and remember your audience insights, age and gender distribution. We want to correlate that to the trending keywords, because I want to make sure that the audience I've been reaching in the last 30 days, so this report's going to be last 30 days. If you look at this report and you set it to 90, just keep that in mind. It's not going to be perfect, but I want to correlate that trends audience to my Pinterest trends, the keywords that I have been historically using for the last 90 days. And I want to see if there's overlap. So I will open up that sourdough discard keyword, and hopefully it will load. There it goes. And you can see that it's been going down since February, but it really has taken a bit of a dive since the end of April, even more into May and June, really into July. And now it's about to start going up again. So this is what we're looking for. We want to match this decline to this decline. We want to see what the decline was. So if you can match your top keywords and the decline of those keywords in the trends tool, as well as the distribution of the audience. So this particular demographic is heavily 85% female, 40% 25 to 34, 26% 35 to 44. Now, if I go back to audience insights, I'm going to see the majority of my audience fits those demographics. So if this were mine, I would be looking to alter in other keywords. And we're going to talk about that shortly. Well, let's do another example. Let's do an example in another niche entirely. One of my membership members is in the gardening space, and she brought this up recently that, some of the things that are popular earlier in the year, not popular later in the year. And you can see that in her trend distribution report here. So let's say she's blogging about container gardening. They're all down right now, and our audience demographics are here. So what we're going to do is we're going to look that over. So we can see that it really started to go down in May. And if this were the same graphic, like what I was looking at, then you can see that drop there around the same week. So that's really what we're looking for. We're looking to match the gaps or the holes or the drop-offs from our data, our overview, to what's going on in the actual pin level data. So again, audience is heavily overlapping with mine, so this would make sense if this were my content. So this is what I want you to look for. Obviously, you can also look at this on a wider range. If you're in this tool over here, you can also look through these filters. I always default to top yearly personally, because I want to see over the year what these are doing. I don't necessarily want to see what they're doing just in the last 90 days. But if you want to look through all of these other filters, you can also do that. And then if you wanted to add a bunch of keywords in here to get more stuff to come up in this table, you can also do that and look over more of your particular keywords. Just make sure that you're matching them from your board topics and your pin titles, because that's really the main places that these keywords are going to live or be obvious to you what keywords that you used. Now that we have gone through the most important tactic, I think, in figuring out exactly what is going on with your Pinterest traffic dipping, I want to go through another list of potential reasons why your traffic could be dropping off on Pinterest. So obviously we've talked about seasonality and algorithm changes, as well as too much focus on one particular keyword. Now, all of these are real world examples of things that I have actually seen people doing within their Pinterest strategy. So I've seen it, and I think that these are real problems, or they can be. So I have seen people creating on really specific topics because they're really high in trends, and those things work for months and months and months, and then all of a sudden we're seeing a drop off. If you're not shifting your content strategy early enough and you ride that roller coaster to the very top before it starts to go down, as soon as it starts to go down, you're going to start going down with it because you have not started instituting other trends ahead of that rise. So this is not something that is one and done. You focus on Pinterest trends and you're good to go, and then you move on to the next one. You need to be constantly injecting new Pinterest trends and keyword opportunities into your strategy before they get to the peak. Another issue is lack of keyword variation. If you're just going after one keyword for every single blog post or product that you publish, that's a problem. There are so many different ways that people are actually looking for your content on Pinterest and for your products on Pinterest. So let's do a deeper and a wider search net to see what people might be searching for in other areas of the English language. Obviously not posting frequently or consistently enough. If you go from pinning 5 times a day to pinning 1 time a day, you're going to see a backslide in engagement. That's just a natural thing that is going to happen. Also, just not adding in new pin designs every now and then could lead to fatigue and people getting blind to your content. You definitely don't want that to happen, but you don't want to be changing your pin designs so often that no one really recognizes you as a brand on Pinterest. Too much repurposed content from third-party platforms without a Pinterest strategy behind them can obviously lead to a lack of engagement that you wish to see. So if you are bringing content over from third-party platforms like Instagram, like TikTok, YouTube Shorts, etc., make sure that you are optimizing it for a Pinterest specific audience. That includes titles, descriptions, and changing the link to be the destination of your website and not necessarily those platforms. Obviously, you could be, if you're creating content with AI, you could be getting in those filters where people are not wanting to see AI content, so they're actually using that feature that says like show fewer of this. That is if it's available to them in their region. Pinterest is still kind of rolling this out. Or on the flip side, you are getting like smothered by AI content in your niche. And if that's also the case, it's really nothing that you can do other than continuing to publish human first content, updating your Pinterest text overlays, your titles, your descriptions, making sure that your images look really good, making sure that your pins look like something people actually want to click on, and they're not just like the repetitive garbage that AI content creators are using. Can you even call them AI content creators? I don't think so. Obviously, I mentioned this before, but I think it's worth mentioning audience behavior shifting, not only shifting away from specific topics. I've seen this happen a number of times where something will be really popular for a long time, then the trend starts to fade away. We are living in the world of micro trends, and micro trends come and go as quickly as, I don't know, like fast fashion, honestly. So I want you to make sure that you are keeping abreast of that, especially if you are in the micro trend content space. If you are noticing that your audience demographics are changing or your audience behavior is changing away from those topics, then you may want to look into diversifying your content strategy. Pinterest algorithm changes. This is not something that we can control. It's not something that I have inside information on even. I just know that they do release algorithm updates. Obviously, every platform with an algorithm does. And the best thing that you can do for longevity on Pinterest is a keyword strategy for both your pins and your boards to make sure that you are meeting your audience where they are at. So the next time that your Pinterest traffic dips, don't panic, research. Let's dive into our analytics. Let's analyze what we have going on. Let's make decisions, and let's come to conclusions based on the data that Pinterest gives us. This isn't always easy. Yes, it can be time consuming, but it is worth it to understand exactly what your content is doing and how it's resonating with your audience on Pinterest. For more information and doing an even deeper dive of your Pinterest analytics, you want to watch this deep dive of Pinterest analytics video, and I'll see you there.